Hey, everybody. Thank you for requesting this private session tapping that Jana and I are getting ready to do. And if you haven't yet listened to the podcast episode, it is linked below. Highly recommend tuning into that so that you understand what this is all about. But, in kind of connecting here after the show, we determined that Jana would like to work on anger today. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
We've all got some of that, so it does sound good. And I know you're saying it was ironic that we're kind of giggling about it, but
Right.
anger is like, it's no joke. But also,
Mhm.
I work with people on anger all the time, and usually there is something to laugh about as we work on it because as our perspective shifts around it and we realize almost how ridiculous it can be sometimes, it really changes how we feel about it. So tell me a little bit, some details about your anger or how anger shows up for you in your life.
Yeah, it's really kind of strange. And I guess maybe the first things I can recall would be like back in college when my mom would call to check in on me. And I would just be so angry that she called, like, call, leave a message, whatever. And my mom is actually one of the sweetest people that you'd probably meet. There's no ill intent or, negativity or criticism that she was like delivering, right? Like it wasn't a bad message. It was like, hey, are you going to bring your laundry over for me to clean type stuff. But the fact that she like was calling me, like it would make me so angry. Um, it's funny because I even still find it with her sometimes. She called me the other day. Oh, I was in a movie, but like, I was annoyed that I had to call her back. And I know I'm using other words like annoy and frustrate and
That's
things
fine.
like that, but I still feel like it all goes down to anger. And it's not just with her. I see it with my daughter, in that, not silly thing, right? Again, it's like she's doing a hybrid course right now. And so she'll come in and she'll need help with something that to me is like so basic, something that she should already know if she had been really doing the work, right? So it's like angry that I have to help her, or my husband won't do things exactly the way I want them done, and so I'll be angry about that. And it's like the thing that gets me is that like sometimes I feel like then there's a cloud over me all the time of this anger. And I've thought about it a lot. I've thought about like what is it, and I do kind of wonder if it's a little bit of like I expect things my way, and if it's not my way, regardless of what it is, I'm not on my terms, and I get angry about it. But I'm not sure. That's just kind of where um I've led myself to as I've thought through this. Like, why do I always feel angry when it just really doesn't feel justifiable?
Did anger or frustration come up for you in the playing golf example that you gave on the show?
Um, yeah, I mean, for that, and then it's funny that you said, you have this choice, right? You have a choice to hold on to it and have whatever emotion it is that you're having, or you have a choice to let it go. And what I find myself doing a lot in those situations, and I think you hit on the word justified, right? Like you didn't you didn't stick to the agreement, and I feel justified in my anger. And so I don't like, it's really hard to then let that go, because it's almost like, am I conceding to something that I don't agree with, right? Like I don't think
Yeah.
it's right that you've gone and done this. So therefore if I don't bring it up, or if I just let it go and act normal and don't be angry or whatever, then I'm condoning the behavior, right?
Okay.
Is I think how my mind works with those instances.
Okay. Um, no idea why your mom stuff got you upset. No.
Well, I mean, if you go really far back, I mean, I have no idea, but my parents got divorced, and then my mom got remarried, and didn't tell me. I went away to my dad's house in the summer, and then when I came back, she was married. And we are now living with my stepdad. And my stepdad and I had a pretty tumultuous relationship. I mean, I will say, since we're airing this, it was always from a place of love on his side, but he became an instant dad, right? And I
Right.
was 6 years old at the time. And as I was saying on the show, I was an expert at everything. I mean, that started as a kid, right? So I was a very difficult child to manage. And so I think he always felt like he had to put me in my place. So I'm sure there was anger, way back then about getting remarried and probably multiple things. One, probably getting remarried at all, right? Because I was the center of attention. I mean, I don't know. This is just a guess, right? But I can just imagine that, you had been with my mom for 3 years one-on-one, and now she's remarried. 2, she didn't tell me. And then 3, the whole dynamic changed. And I went from being in charge, because my mom's a little bit of a pushover, went from being in charge to now not getting my way. Which that's interesting to say it that way, because I was just talking about getting my way. So yeah, it was definitely challenge all the way back to then.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections there, obviously more than I can address in one round here. But
Right.
like my brain's like formulating this whole thing, like, we would go here and we would do that, blah, blah, blah. But I think what I can definitely provide is kind of a like a band-aid and like a first kind of peeling layer of the onion here to see like what's underneath of here. So when you think about your day-to-day anger,
Mm.
how bad does that get for you? Like on a 0, where 0 is no anger and 10 is like the most anger possible.
Oh, I don't know that it's really that high. It's more like this dark cloud over your head, right? Like that just, so, I mean, I'd maybe say, um, anywhere from a 3 to a 6, but it doesn't really, I don't think, go above a 6 unless it's a specific action and probably more justified, like you've done me wrong and now we've got a serious issue. But like, it's more like this
Yeah.
annoyance, right? A cloud of annoyance that hangs over me.
Okay. All right. So let's dig into that. And it's interesting because, and how's your relationship with expressing your anger? Like when you get angry, what do you
Mm.
do?
Um, well, I guess it depends if I decide that I'm worthy to have that. Like, I accept that I have the emotion, but that it's worthy to put on somebody else, because like there's a selfishness in putting that emotion and sharing that emotion with somebody else, right? Like, because now you've given it to them and they have to deal with it. So if I get to the point where I'm like, no, I think I'm right to be angry about this, and I will say something, then it's usually just a conversation. Like, I'm not a person who yells or things like that, but I guess on the flip side, if I don't reach that point where I think that it's justified, I think it does still manifest itself in other ways. As I'm talking, I think it manifests itself in criticism, right? Then finding fault in other things, like, oh, you
Maybe
didn't.
even like some passive aggressive sort of
Right, right.
things.
Like, oh, you didn't clean the counter, go clean the counter. Like, haven't seen my daughter all day. The first thing I notice is the counter's not clean. Rather than saying hi or anything, you need to go do the dishes, or you need to go clean the counter.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
sometimes, and it depends on what the relationship was, that we were raised with around anger too. Like, were you
Mm.
allowed to be angry as a kid?
Oh yeah, it was much more stop your feet and slam the door type anger as a kid. Like, and my stepdad was pretty vocal as well. Like, I struggle to use the word yelling because I don't want to give the wrong impression, but raised voices back and forth, maybe
Sure.
not a lot of listening, right? More
I think
like,
sometimes people think
yeah.
anger is like the bad guy, like it's this bad side of us, this
Mm,
shadow side, but it's actually like in the middle between like total powerlessness and
mm,
empowered freedom.
mm,
And if we don't actually pass through it and express it, we're always stuck there at anger and never towards the empowerment end of things. So learning healthy ways to express it is so important. And
mm,
yeah, let's voice a little bit of this and just see what kind of things come up in a round of tapping on the feelings around anger. So this is
mm.
going to be like follow the leader, okay? I'm going to do it, I'm going to say it, you're going to say it back.
Okay.
And then we're just going to see how you feel at the end. We're starting at this kind of like flexible 3 to 6 sort of a thing that you're managing on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
All right. So even though there's so much anger inside of me sometimes,
Even though there's so much anger inside of me sometimes,
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
I want to love, accept, and forgive myself.
Even though this anger has been with me practically my entire life.
Even though this anger has been with me practically my entire life.
And sometimes I feel so justified in having it.
And sometimes I feel so justified in having it.
I'm open to the idea that maybe it's not serving me anymore.
I'm open to the idea that maybe it's not serving me anymore.
And even though I'm afraid that people might walk all over me if I wasn't angry.
And even though I'm afraid people might walk all over me if I wasn't angry,
They might think I condone what they're doing.
they may think I condone what they're doing.
I want to love and accept myself anyway.
I want to love and accept myself anyway.
All this anger
All this anger
from back when I was just a little girl.
from back when I was just a little girl.
As soon as my mom remarried,
As soon as my mom remarried,
I couldn't get my way.
I couldn't get my way.
And that's one of the earliest memories I have.
And that's one of the earliest memories I have.
And I think about all these other times throughout my life
And I think about all these other times throughout my life
where there has just been this cloud of anger hanging over me.
where there's just been this cloud of anger hanging over me.
Especially when I don't feel like things are going my way.
Especially when I think or feel things aren't going my way.
Both right. I get annoyed,
I get annoyed,
frustrated,
frustrated,
righteous,
righteous,
indignant.
indignant.
I just want to get my way.
I just want to get my way.
And I want other people to know that they're wrong.
And I want other people to know they're wrong.
You should know how to do things better than this.
You should know how to do things better than this.
Why do other people not understand these things?
Why do other people not understand these things?
They are making me mad.
They are making me mad.
Because if they knew how to do things better, I wouldn't be mad.
If they knew how to do things better, I wouldn't be mad.
And I am right about this.
And I'm right about this.
And I don't want to let this go.
And I don't want to let this go.
This is my hidden agenda underneath of my anger.
This is my hidden agenda underneath my anger.
And I am right about it.
And I am right about it.
Open to the idea that this is not serving me at all.
I'm open to the idea this is not serving me at all.
And that it might actually be safe to voice more of this anger.
And it might be safe to actually voice more of this anger.
To let it move up and out of my energetic system.
To let it move up and out of my energetic system.
So that I have more room for positive feelings.
So I have more room for positive feelings.
Genuine feelings.
Genuine feelings.
More love.
More love.
More calm.
More calm.
More confidence.
More confidence.
More clarity.
More clarity.
Open to releasing this anger down to a cellular level.
Open to releasing this anger down to a cellular level.
For my highest good and for the highest good of all the people I love.
For my highest good and the highest good of all the people that I love.
All right, take a nice deep breath in through your nose, Jana. Hold it for a second and exhale through your mouth. What kind of aha moments or things came up for you as we tapped through that?
I don't know. I mean, I thought a lot of like the extra commentary that you gave was true. And so that's why I was kind of chuckling, because we didn't mention it. I did at first, I felt like I actually started feeling a little anxious when we started, not like anxious in doing it, just like all of a sudden, like, there was this anxiety.
Energetic system, yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, though, there definitely was more peace. I don't know, like, I'm not angry at the moment of all the times that we're talking.
Sometimes when you're not in the midst of it.
Right.
It would be a little easier if you were angry.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there was not something that I'm necessarily dealing with at the moment, but I definitely felt at the end calmer.
Yeah. And if you were in a situation where you were feeling angry, like if that cropped up in the next few days or something, you could just do it super simple. Even though I'm feeling angry, I love, accept, and forgive myself 3 times. And you could literally just say, I'm so angry on every single point all the way through, and just focus in your mind on the feelings around the anger. You don't need to come up with an elaborate script like I just did. You could literally keep it very simple, and you could probably feel that anger go from wherever it is down way lower. It'd be an interesting thing to try. But
Excellent.
yeah, anything else you want to add or anything that came up for you while we were doing that?
No, not at the moment.
Cool. Well, thank you for being brave enough to do that and
Yeah.
to share about your anger. I know that will help so many people because we all have anger and we all
Mm,
need to learn how to voice it and allow it to move up and out of us so that we can have room for all those ways that we actually want to feel. So
yeah.
thank you,
Thank
Jana.
you.
Appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
And you know what? If anybody wants to share their outcomes, if you do this tapping with us, feel free to shoot me an email, Theresa@theresalearlevine.com. I love hearing like before and afters and what shifts for people. And if you want to give your email address, if you are interested in hearing from people, you're welcome to also.
Oh, they can find me on my site and on LinkedIn. So
Cool.
thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.